Welcome to today's orientation on traffic rules, driver's licenses, and insurance in Japan. We'd like to help foreign residents in Japan learn about Japanese traffic rules and how to obtain a driver's license, with the hope that they will strive to drive safely. We sincerely hope you will find this useful and lead a safe, secure, and enjoyable life in Japan. Agenda 1. Japan's traffic rules. 2. How to drive in Japan, driver's license system, etc. 3. How to respond in case of an accident, etc. 4. Insurance, compulsory automobile liability insurance, voluntary insurance, etc. 5. About mopeds, etc. In this section, we will explain the basic traffic rules for driving in Japan. A driver's license is required to drive in vehicles in Japan. Specifically, an International Driver's Permit, IDP, or a Japanese driver's license is needed. In Japan, everyone drives on the left-hand side of the road. Crossing over a yellow center line is prohibited, regardless of the circumstances. These are the main rules for intersections. Vehicles moving straight and turning left have the right of way. Pedestrians have the right of way when they are present. Red means stop. Make sure to stop. If a green arrow is displayed, please proceed in the direction of the arrow. Always make a full stop at places where there is a stop sign. If you want to know more about road signs other than just stop, please review the materials available via the two-dimensional barcode on the screen. Let's learn everything we can to keep ourselves and others safe on the road. Be careful of vehicles going straight when making a right turn. You must not proceed in any direction other than the specified one. These are other main rules prohibiting certain actions while driving. Always wear your seatbelt. Never drive under the influence of alcohol. Using smartphones or headphones while driving is also prohibited. In this section, we will explain the licenses required to drive in Japan. To drive in Japan, you need a Japanese driver's license, an international driver's license based on the Geneva Convention, or a foreign driver's license relating to vehicle operation. First, let's go through the Japanese driver's license. Let's start by looking at one way to obtain a driver's license in Japan, through a partial exemption. This option is available to individuals who already hold a valid foreign driver's license. If you qualify, you may be exempt from certain parts of the Japanese licensing process, such as the written and practical exams. To be eligible, you must have lived in the specified country after your foreign license was issued for at least 3 months. Now let's walk through the application process for getting a Japanese driver's license via partial exemption. You'll need to visit the driver's license center or a similar office operated by the prefectural police. Make sure you go to the one that covers the area where your current address is officially registered. You must apply in person. Applications by proxy, meaning someone else applying on your behalf, are not allowed. This is the second method for obtaining a driver's license required for driving in Japan. Through a standard license exam. It applies to individuals who do not hold a foreign driver's license and wish to obtain a Japanese driver's license. Next, we will talk about the International Driving Permit, IDP, based on the Geneva Convention. One way to drive without obtaining a Japanese driver's license is by using an international driving permit. This is a sample of an international driving permit. Only vehicle categories marked with a stamp may be driven. This is a list of the types of vehicles that can be driven according to the rank of the international driving permit. Please be aware that the types of vehicles you can drive vary depending on the rank. If there is no stamp for rank A, please note that you cannot drive a moped either. There are conditions to be met in order to drive with an international driving permit. The first condition is that the international driving permit must have been issued within 1 year and the person must have landed in Japan within 1 year as well. The second condition is that the person must not violate Article 107(2) of the Road Traffic Act, commonly known as the 3-month rule. These are all absolutely required. Let me explain the first condition. The international driving permit that allows you to drive in Japan must be issued by a contracting party to the Geneva Convention and must conform to the format specified in the convention. Even if it is an international driving permit issued by a contracting party to the Geneva Convention, international driving permits issued according to formats under other treaties cannot be used for driving in Japan, so caution is required. As shown in the slide, driving with an international driving permit is possible within 1 year from the date of issue of the permit, and within 1 year from the date of landing in Japan. The next slide will explain the so-called 3-month rule. As shown on the slide, if a person registered in the General Resident Register leaves Japan after confirming their departure or receiving permission for re-entry, and obtains a new international driver's license during a stay of 3 months or more abroad before returning to Japan, the date of re-entry will be considered the starting date of the validity period of the international driver's license. As shown in the slide, if a person registered in the General Resident Register leaves Japan after receiving confirmation of departure or permission to re-enter, obtains a new international driving permit during a stay of less than 3 months, and then lands in Japan again, the day of that landing will not be counted as the start date of the validity period of the international driving permit. Therefore, driving in Japan is not allowed. Finally, regarding foreign driver's licenses for driving automobiles, etc. The second method for not obtaining a Japanese driver's license is to drive with a Japanese translation attached to your foreign driver's license. The Japanese translation must be prepared by either the consular office of the country that issued the license or by an organization designated by the National Public Safety Commission. This is limited to translations created by organizations such as JAF, Zipless Company, Limited, or the Japan Driver Support Association for Foreign Visitors. Next, for reference, I will explain the process of converting foreign driver's license to a Japanese driver's license, foreign license conversion. There are document reviews and tests to verify knowledge and skills required for switching foreign driving licenses. Also, a legal revision will take place in October 2025, so it is necessary to pay attention as the rules will change. It now applies to those who are recorded in the General Resident Register, so please be sure to submit a copy of your residence card. All documents, including others, must be submitted as originals. There are knowledge verification tests and skills verification tests. Compared to before the revision, the number of questions in the knowledge verification test has increased. Furthermore, the illustration questions have been removed, and the passing rate has become stricter, now 90%. The skills confirmation test includes additional items to verify skills required for driving. Here is a list of countries and others for which both the knowledge confirmation test and the skills confirmation test may be exempted. Please note that in the United States of America, this varies by state. This is a list of vehicle types that can be driven with each driver's license. Please make sure to confirm thoroughly before driving. This section explains the response to be taken in the event of an accident. If you fail to provide assistance to injured persons, violation of the duty to provide aid, or fail to notify or report to the police, violation of the duty to report, when an accident occurs, leaving the accident scene is considered a crime of hit and run. A violation of the duty to provide aid is subject to a severe penalty, including up to 10 years of imprisonment or a fine of up to 1 million yen, plus 35 demerit points, suspension of the driver's license, and a prohibition on obtaining a new license for 3 years. Please stay calm and composed when an accident occurs. First, provide first aid if there are any injured persons. To prevent secondary disasters, move injured persons and vehicles to a safe location. Contact the police, dial 110. In this section, we will organize and explain insurance, mandatory liability insurance and voluntary insurance. Compulsory liability insurance can provide compensation up to a certain limit if you cause injury or death to others. It is mandatory insurance that you are required to join. On the other hand, optional insurance can cover various damages caused by automobile accidents that compulsory automobile liability insurance cannot cover. Optional insurance can mainly be divided into 4 types of coverage. In this section, we will explain compulsory automobile liability insurance. Compulsory automobile liability insurance is mandatory insurance that provides coverage up to a limit when the other party is injured or killed. The purpose of compulsory automobile liability insurance is to provide relief to victims of bodily injury caused by automobiles. It is mandatory to have a contract for all motor vehicles, including mopeds and motorcycles. Registration for compulsory automobile liability insurance is required by law. If you drive without registering for compulsory automobile liability insurance, you may be sentenced to imprisonment for up to 1 year or fined up to 500,000 yen. In addition, a very severe penalty of 6 violation points and a driver's license suspension within a period of up to 6 months will be imposed. Furthermore, if you cause a personal injury accident without registering for the compulsory automobile liability insurance, you will be liable for a high amount of compensation. Please make sure to enroll in the compulsory automobile liability insurance. Insurance payments under the compulsory automobile liability insurance are only made in cases of compensation for damages resulting from personal injury accidents, such as causing injury or death to others. Also, as stated in the materials, there is a limit on the amount of insurance money paid for each victim. This section explains voluntary insurance. The voluntary liability insurance for bodily injury covers the damages that exceed the limits of the compulsory automobile liability insurance. The injury coverage limit of the compulsory automobile liability insurance is 1.2 million yen, so if you are only enrolled in compulsory automobile liability insurance, you will have to bear 3.8 million yen yourself. The coverage that can compensate for this 3.8 million yen is the personal liability insurance. Personal liability insurance can cover the shortfall exceeding the limit of compulsory automobile liability insurance in cases where you cause injury or death to others. This is a high-amount compensation case precedent for personal injury accidents. There are many high-amount compensation case precedents that cannot be covered by compulsory automobile liability insurance alone. The next section explains the necessity of property damage liability insurance. The property damage liability insurance covers this 1.6 million yen. This is a high compensation precedent for property damage accidents. There are many high compensation precedents that cannot be covered out of pocket. For those who drive cars, we strongly recommend registering for personal injury liability insurance and property damage liability insurance, voluntary insurance. For your reference, we will explain about vehicle insurance and personal injury protection insurance. Vehicle insurance provides compensation if your bike or car is damaged in an accident. Please consider registering for vehicle insurance along with personal injury liability insurance and property damage liability insurance. Here are some other precautions to take in the event of an accident. Check the other party's information, name, address, contact details, etc., and whether there are any witnesses. Do not settle the matter at the accident scene under any circumstances. Please report promptly to your workplace or school as well. In the next section, we will go through rules for driving a moped. Driving rules for mopeds were largely revised at the end of March 2025. Previously, for Class 1 mopeds, a 2-step right turn was required. With the changes, motorcycles that run at 125 cubic centimeters or less, controlled to a maximum output of 4.0 kilowatts or less, will be newly classified as the first-class moped, which covers motorcycles that run at 50 cubic centimeters or less. Please be sure to follow the rules when riding a moped. Also, when riding a motorized bicycle with an international driving permit, a Class A international driving permit is required. Please be sure to check and drive accordingly. We will review the rules regarding riding with 2 people. Is it possible to carry 2 people on the first class and second class new standard mopeds, respectively? The answer is that 2 people can only ride on a second class moped. Let's confirm the conditions for riding with 2 people. As confirmed earlier, riding 2 people on a first class moped is prohibited by law. Riding with 2 people is only allowed after having held an ordinary motorcycle license or a large motorcycle license for more than 1 year. Also, if the combined period of holding both an ordinary motorcycle license and a large motorcycle license is more than 1 year, the condition is considered fulfilled. When riding 2 people on the highway, in addition to the above, the driver must be at least 20 years old and have held a regular motorcycle license or a large motorcycle license for more than 3 years. Differences between Class 1 and Class 2 mopeds. 2-person riding is only allowed for a Class 2 moped. A 2-stage right turn is only required for a Class 1 moped. The legal speed limit is 30 km per hour for Class 1 and 60 km per hour for Class 2. You cannot drive on the highway with either Class 1 or Class 2 mopeds. You can drive a Class 1 moped with a moped license, but not a Class 2 moped. For reference, the following countries/regions are party to the various Geneva Conventions, by color. In dark beige, regions party to the 1949 Geneva Conventions only. In peach, regions party to the 1949 Geneva Conventions and to 1977 Additional Protocol I only. In blue, regions party to the 1949 Geneva Conventions and to 2005 Additional Protocol 3 only. In light beige, regions party to the 1949 Geneva Conventions and to 1977 Additional Protocol 1 and 2. In purple, regions party to the 1949 Geneva Conventions, to both 1977 Additional Protocols and to 2005 Additional Protocol 3. In green, regions party to the 1949 Geneva Conventions, 1977 Additional Protocol I and 2005 Additional Protocol 3. Lastly, marked with a red star, regions having made the declaration under Article 90 of 1977 Additional Protocol I. This concludes today's guidance. Let's follow traffic rules to stay safe and cautious on the road.